I think a lot of people expected the Browns to take an edge rusher at some point in this draft.
For that reason.
Possibly even in the first round. Were you surprised at all that we didn't take an edge rusher? And do you kind of have any insight on why we didn't?
Well, yeah, I absolutely do. I think it was just assumed, and I said this, it was assumed that Barry would address either defensive end or cornerback in rounds 1 and 2, and whichever he took in the first round, he would take in the second round. But the guy that they had earmarked, now all big boards, if you've ever seen a big board, which you probably haven't, GMs put red stars on players, and that's as a reminder of guys that they want to try to get, and if they're still there and it's inching towards their slot in the draft, to whether they want to go ahead and go up and get it. But the guy that they had earmarked in round 2 was the defensive end from Houston, Peyton Turner. Mm-hmm. Well, the Saints took him at the end of the first round.
Yep.
So here the Browns had taken their cornerback. They had Peyton Turner, who was projected to be low second round, early third round, and the Saints took him in the first round. So now here the second round rolls around and their guy is gone. That's when they traded up and took the linebacker out of Notre Dame. Now, after the draft was over with, I had that question. I said, why didn't they take a defensive end? Why didn't they take a pass rusher? I assumed it was because they got McKinley and Clowney on one side and Porter Gustin on the other side. Well, I did an article. I named it Browns Failed to Draft Defensive End. The reason. Most of the defense's weaknesses were addressed except one. So I did a complete article about it. And during my research into the article, and I lead into these other players and what their backups, 2 words, Curtis Weaver. Now, at times, he was a one-man wrecking crew at Boise State. As a freshman, he had 11 sacks and 13 tackles for loss. The following year, he had 9.5 sacks and 15 tackles for loss. It was named first team All-Mountain West. Curtis Weaver is on the Browns.
Yeah, it's almost like between him and Delpit, we've got 2 extra rookies coming in this year we kind of forget about them because they weren't there last year.
Yeah, and I think this is their young pass rusher that they think is going to come forward. In 2019, he had 19.5 tackles for loss, 15 total tackles, an interception, a forced fumble, and 13.5 sacks.
Wow.
He was named first team All-Mountain West. He was a finalist for the Ted Hendricks Award, and he was named Mountain West Conference Defensive Player of the Year. Now, when his college career was completed, he had set the Mountain West Conference record for career sacks with 34. He was also the only defensive player in college football history to ever average 9 point sacks or better during a 3-year stint. Don't the Browns need another pass rusher?
Yeah.
Yep.
I know our friend from Ireland was big on this guy. He was talking about him, even a few months ago. It almost sounds like we got a hidden diamond in the rough or ace in the hole just sitting there waiting to explode off the roster. I mean, those numbers are, they're like borderline incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got one word, highly productive. Okay, that's 2 words.
Right. But I was going to let you go on that. But
who's counting, right?
Yeah. But he's an intelligent athlete. He's got a high motor and should become a solid defender against the run and against the pass. Now, here's how he came to Cleveland. He was taken in the 5th round of the last year's draft, the 2020 NFL draft by the Dolphins. He was never hurt in college and never missed any games as a 3-year starter. But during the practice with Miami, the front of his cleat bent under his own foot, and he heard a crack. He cracked his big toe, and when they took his sock off, his big toe was just dangling. They they took him to the hospital, and there he was told his season was over. A few hours later, he was informed that he was placed on the waive injured list, which meant he'd go through the waiver wire. Now, when a player is placed on the injured waiver wire list and he's below a third-round pick, very few, if any, players are ever claimed in this situation off waivers, because this means that your team has to place that guy on IR, which means you have to pay him his contract, and he has zero chance of playing for you for at least a year, if not longer. The Browns had just gone 6-10 under Freddie Kitchens and had the number 10 spot with waivers. Miami had number 5, so this meant only 8 NFL clubs could have gotten Weaver. Andrew Berry put in a claim for him and got him. Now, this meant that he was instantly placed on IR and was paid his contract rate for his rookie season, and plus he was saved a spot on the 90-man training camp roster. Now, do y'all think paying a guy for a full year of salary to get healthy was wise?
I think we're going to find out. You know, I think if this, I mean, especially, I don't know, call me crazy, but I'm not concerned about lingering effects of a toe injury.
Well, and another thing too is, I do think it was wise because it allowed us to not have to reach or do anything, you know, outrageous or crazy in this draft to try to get a young pass rusher later on in the draft. We got to go ahead and pick, you know, the safety. We got to pick, you know, another linebacker and things like that because we knew we had this guy already on the roster.
Yeah, absolutely. Weaver's 6'2", 265, and runs a 4.8440.
So he's a little undersized. Yeah.
But that means he's got room to grow as far as meat if he put 20 pounds on. Now, the good news about Weaver is that the entire offseason, he was in Berea and not only doing his rehab, but he was working out. He was learning the defensive system. He was bonding with other players. He was cutting. He was lifting weights. And he was being involved with the team's nutritionist. So he was in-house, so people already know him, and he already knows them. I believe that when Andrew Berry signed Pat McKinley with Weaver and Porter Gustin as possible backup, that he basically made the decision to help another position of need in the draft in each round. And then once he inked Jadeveon Clowney, where do y'all think another stud defensive end would even fit?
That's true. You probably end up cutting one of these guys you just signed, to be honest.
Yeah.
Plus, I'm not gonna gripe about getting JOK in the second round.
No, and I think that's just it. You know, it gave us that luxury to say, well, we know we've got Curtis Weaver. Look who's sitting here in the second round. Is, you know, JOK's here. Let's go, you know, up. And they only moved up a few spots to get him.
Yep.
And who knows, maybe it opened the door for us to be able to go ahead and have that sort of luxury pick of taking a guy like Anthony Schwartz in the third round because of his speed. And that's something that we desperately need on our offense.
Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing this Curtis Weaver guy now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me read you a quote from Andrew Berry. He did a media Zoom call right after the draft, and I'm going to read this. He said, "We like the defensive end position group going into the draft. There are a number of prospects at that position who we also liked, but we are going to draft with a long-term vision for the team. And ultimately, we are not just going to pick for need or perceived need. The value has to be there, and we have to feel comfortable with whoever we are bringing into the building. But we like our group of current defensive ends."
Well, and he wasn't kidding.
Yeah. No. Basically, Barry is making plans for the long-term health of the team cap, so that he can later sign the top guys. Do y'all know that there are a total of 24 one-year contracts currently on this roster?
I didn't know it was that high.
Yeah, I didn't know it was that high. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, this will give the younger guys a chance to develop so that the coaching staff can see exactly what they have. If the younger guys can show that they are capable, that single year of their show 'em contract, they'll either play and progress or they'll be wearing another uniform next year. Now listen to some of the quarterbacks that Curtis Weaver has had multiple sacks on when he played for Boise State. Josh Allen of the Bills, Jordan Love of the Packers, Justin Herbert of Oregon, and the Chargers, and this year's second overall draft pick, Zach Wilson from BYU. Now, all of these guys are mega talented, and they were all taken in the first round. Remember, Weaver is currently on a fifth-round contract and paid fifth-round money. I believe that Weaver will be given a full year to season, then take over the other outside defensive end slot opposite Myles Garrett next year.
Man, now I'm same way, Blake. Just excited. Like, I just want to see training camp. Like, where's this guy? I want to see him on the field.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, I know the big toe is an important toe, but it doesn't sound to me like we got to be worried about him not coming back 100% from his injury.
No,
I mean, it sucks that his toe is dangling, but I feel like he should be able to come back from that.
It's not a knee. It's not, Barry, what are the big injuries that you really have to worry about? I mean,
knee, neck, and back.
Knee, neck, and back. Yeah, is that it?
Yeah, knee, neck, and back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Not Achilles?
Yeah. No, you can come back from Achilles.
Good.
You can come back from turf toe. And then it also depends on the knee. If it's the ACL or the MCL, those are susceptible to, but if it's the PCL is the tendon that's in the back of the knee that keeps your knee from going all the way forward. It's like a stop. And if you break that, you can repair that and that will be okay. But the MCL and the ACL, that just weakens. And then if you've had two, now the players who come back, the linebacker from the Carolina Panthers, Davis, he had three, and they're all in the same knee, but he eventually played and had a good career and even played in a Pro Bowl, but that's rare.